How you doing, babe? I hope you're well. Me? I'm just a sucker with no self-esteem. Seriously, have you ever felt like you're in a room full of people and you're not actually taking a part of what's happening, the conversations that's happening, the connections people are making? Instead, you're on the outside. You're kind of more of a spectator to what's happening. And you feel like possibly no matter what you say or no matter what you do, it doesn't matter because you don't exist. Or maybe you try to work for something really hard, whether it's a job, a new place, a new car, anything that brings you joy and improves your life and brings you to a new level in your life. And once you achieve it, you feel this sadness and this weird feeling inside like you don't deserve it, even though you know you deserve it. You put the work in, you should get what you worked for. But there's a feeling that you don't deserve it because of who you are, because of your past, because of the way you see yourself. And you just feel like this thing doesn't really belong to you, or you don't fit in, or this partner you're with shouldn't be with you. You're not deserving of whatever you have in your life that brings you joy, because at the end of the day, you feel like you're not really a person. Having low self-esteem really messes with the way you engage with life, because you're always looking for a way to justify having and experiencing the things that other people have and experience. But you approach it from a point of view of not deserving it because, well, mentally, you feel like you just don't. You don't care about yourself in a way that you should care about yourself. You don't put yourself out there because you feel like, why should you? No one's going to see you. Nothing you say matter, and you're just invisible to the world. When I was a kid, I was diagnosed as being, well, I'm not quite sure what they diagnosed me as, but they considered me to be special education. When I was growing up, things were different. And with my community and basically my parents not really having the best education, they were told that I was special education, that I needed special classes, and they just went with it. They didn't understand the concept of neurodivergent people or neurotypical people, and that I wasn't neurotypical, but they went along with what they were told, and there wasn't much put into research for it. So I was just thrown in a special education class while I was young, and my parents treated me like I was mentally disabled. And because of that, I grew up kind of isolated. I wasn't the best talker. I wasn't really, I guess you could say, verbal while I was younger as much. And I wasn't really, I had problems connecting to people. I wasn't really the best communicator, if you want to say. So I started failing my grades because I didn't know how to communicate and explain what I didn't understand and have it explained to me in a way that I did. And just things were different. Now it's more accommodating. But back then, they didn't understand a lot of things about neurodivergent people. So I was just thrown into a special education program, and I was just told that I was different. My mother did the best she could. She didn't have the best education. She, I think, dropped out of school before high school. I know my dad dropped out of school and started working full-time when he was 9 years old. So for them, someone tells them something about their son, they just believe it and they go along with it because, they're professionals diagnosing me. So when I was diagnosed with whatever the hell they diagnosed me with, I didn't fit into the special education classes. I didn't feel like I was supposed to be there. But then I didn't fit in with normal classes because I was in a special education class as well. So when I would go to normal classes and all, there was a little bit of a shame I felt for it. I can't explain it, but I had this shame, like I didn't fit in, I didn't really blend in. And this is something I dealt with as a kid, where my parents also limited me for doing stuff I could have done because they assumed that I had mental disabilities that would make it difficult for me to do those things. And it wasn't until later on in life, I'll say around close to going to high school, that they realized that there was a mistake made and I was more functional than they thought. And by that time, the damage was already done. I had already developed low self-esteem. That's not to mention that I grew up poor as well. So my whole experience was just really horrible as a child. Not the best. People have had worse, but as far as like my mental state and how I was treated, and also I had, just to clarify, I did also deal with chronic depression. They didn't understand that as well. It was pretty much having parents who didn't understand the science behind or the neurological problems I had behind my actions and just assuming whatever they were told was what it was. And it wasn't until I got close to high school that they started to realize that I didn't fit into how they were treating me, that I was more capable than what they thought. And I was able to verbalize myself a lot better and do a lot of things for myself a lot better than they thought. Truthfully, if things were different, I would have been diagnosed as autistic back then. And my life would have been much different if that was the case. But, it is what it is. But I grew up not really having any kind of confidence in myself because of all of that. And because of being poor and because of my experiences in the toxic and weird household I grew up in. So I didn't really have a way to communicate with people and feel like I was a part of a group or something. I did make friends over time. I had friends who kind of sort of related to me in a way. We were all kind of like weirdos and outsiders and all. I prefer to be around people who are neurodivergent or basically kind of the oddball weirdos out there because I relate more to them. But at the time, I always felt like I didn't really fit in with normal society. I didn't know how to connect with people. I didn't know how to talk to people. And being on the spectrum and not really being able to tell sarcasm and not being able to read social cues, I just didn't really, it was just a weird situation of me not fitting in, feeling invisible, not feeling that I am deserving of the things that everyone else gets, and just internalizing a lot of things that I shouldn't internalize. The first girlfriend I ever had, I asked her was she sure she wanted to be with me when she asked me out, because she asked me out, and I thought she made a mistake. The first job I got, I didn't know how to deal with it. I was trying my best to work it and do the best I can, but I felt like everyone's going to hate me. And that's a problem I have to this very day. Sometimes I go to places and I start working in areas and I feel like everyone's going to hate me for some reason and everyone's going to get mad at me for some reason. My first apartment was very nice. I felt like I didn't deserve it. Like I didn't deserve nice things. I shouldn't live this comfortably. And everything just feels like you're struggling against who you are as a person and who you should be if you were given the same opportunities as everyone else to be able to grow and be your best self without feeling like you're pretending, like it's some kind of imposter syndrome. When you have low self-esteem, you feel like you don't deserve good things. And when you do get those good things, you start developing imposter syndrome, where you start to believe that everything you have and everything you've accomplished, no matter how hard you've worked for it, no matter how much time you put into it, no matter how much effort you put into it, it's something that you don't deserve and that you're pretending to have these things or achieve these things that should go to someone else, that you're not the person to have this. You're not the person to be loved. You give love to people, you don't receive it back. That's not how things work for you. And when you do feel like someone actually loves you, you feel undeserving of it. This could lead to you feeling less assertive. This could lead to you feeling like you shouldn't take care of yourself the way you should. Because you feel like, what if someone sees you dressed well? Are they going to laugh at you? There's a sense of embarrassment from the ideal of being like normal people, experiencing normal things that normal people experience, taking care of yourself, dressing yourself well, enjoying the things you enjoy. Being a part of life is really hard. We have low self-esteem because it's very hard for you to convince yourself that you should be a part of life. You should enjoy it. You should actually do the same things that everyone else does, that you're worthy of it. In your head, you always feel like you're not deserving of these things, that you shouldn't really try and put effort in because who's going to see you? Who's going to listen to you? Who's going to care what you think? And you're just kind of moving through life, trying not to be a bother to anyone, trying not to get into anyone's way, and putting your effort and energy into people that you think deserves more of your love than you do yourself. We have low self-esteem. We subscribe to the idea that we're supposed to be happy with the little things we do get. So if we find someone who treats us horribly, or we have friends who don't really treat us well at all, or don't show to be true friends, our way of dealing with it is to convince ourselves that we can't do any better. We can't make new friends. We can't find anyone else to love us. And we should be happy with the things that we do have in life, even if they're not perfect, or even if it doesn't really feel like it should feel for someone else who has confidence or has some kind of form of self-esteem. We don't really feel like we deserve it, and we feel like we're always in a state of faking who we are and not really fitting in with everyone else. And we're just barely a person. And you don't really engage with anything that you should engage with that would bring you joy, because it's a feeling of why. If you get what you want, you're going to feel terrible about it because you feel like you don't deserve it. If you don't chase after what you want, it feels a lot easier to just not get it and not try than it is to fail or to accomplish it and live in fear of what if someone tells you don't deserve this thing. Those are the things that go through our head, and it affects everything we do. It makes us miss so many opportunities in life that we could have taken if we would have just tried. It affects how we take care of ourselves, hygiene-wise, and it really messes with you. And when we have low self-esteem, we don't really link it back to the trauma that we went through, either as a kid, as an adult, from a partner we had who treated us a certain way and made us feel lesser than, or just experiences we had in our lives. We just kind of internalize it, which links back to our first episode, internalized trauma, which makes this a perfect follow-up for it. We don't really put the time in to really figure out who we are as people, because we define ourselves with who we aren't and what we can't do and how people will react to us if we do certain things that other people are able to do. And we just limit ourselves as much as possible and make ourselves as small as possible to make sure we're not in the way of others. We don't want to disturb others. We don't want to bother others. We don't want to be a burden to people. We don't feel like we should be taken seriously. We don't feel like we should be given any kind of acknowledgement or any kind of attention. We don't feel like we deserve nice things. And when we get all of that, while those things come to us because we do deserve it, because we're people, we find a way to feel bad for ourselves because we feel undeserving, as if those things should go to someone else. This episode talks about low self-esteem, but if I'm being straightforward with you, I don't have an answer for how to improve your self-esteem. I can't really give you the best way to do it. Everyone's way of dealing with it is their own way. It's their own individual journey. My journey led to me wearing makeup, which made me have some kind of control over my life. Because even if I don't feel like I have full control at times, I know for a fact that makeup, the way I look, is something I have full control over. And that gives me a little bit of confidence. And that gives me a little bit of, I guess, a push to do better and do things that I really enjoy. And it kind of helped me get out of that space of not really, feeling like I'm not good enough for anything. I mean, look at me now. I went from almost nonverbal kid to a podcast. And that comes from me trying to realize that there are certain things I want to do. There are certain limitations that I do have, I still have, that I have to work around. Even with makeup, I love doing my makeup. I love making makeup content, but I'm also colorblind. So I can't really truly tell some of the colors that I'm putting on. And I found ways around that. And that's kind of what we have to do at times. It's like we limit ourselves and say we can't do certain things, or therefore we're not worthy of, even trying, or we're not deserving of certain things. But the truth is, we all have our limitations, and we need to find ways to work around them as best as possible if we want to do something and we want to enjoy things. And we are deserving of nice things. We are deserving of the things we work hard for. We put the work in there. We tried the best we could to reach where we wanted to reach. That was the goal. Don't feel bad for reaching your goals when you work hard for your goals. It took me years to outgrow that way of thinking that I'm not deserving. And it's not going to be an easy task for you to accomplish, but I want to tell you this. It's worth trying. It is very much worth trying for. It's worth going after. It's worth chasing your dreams. It's worth trying to live a normal life. It's worth doing the things that you want to do that you felt that someone would criticize you or make fun of because you're doing it and you don't deserve to do it. It's worth doing it anyway. We only have one life, and you shouldn't waste it being afraid of what anyone else would think. You also shouldn't waste it limiting yourself out of a fear that you might fail. How can you be the best version of yourself if you're too afraid to even be a version of yourself? That you're just coasting through life, trying your best not to get in anyone's way. No, you need to take up space. You need to make sure people know you're there. No matter what trauma you went through in your life, it doesn't define who you are. It's just something you have to deal with. You have to work around. You have to process. You have to move past if you can. And you have to do the best you can to live the life that you deserve. Not what anyone else thinks you deserve. Not what you were told you deserve. But what you truly deserve because you worked for it. So I have homework for you. I want you to do everything you can to love yourself as you are. Your faults, your trauma, everything. Love yourself for who you are. Try your best to do that first. Try to find the things that you like about yourself. Try to find the things that you want to improve on. Focus on improving those things. That's the biggest thing that we have, the biggest problem we have. We're good at identifying the things we can't do, but we never think about how to solve that problem or how to work around that problem. So my homework for you is to learn how to love yourself for who you are, faults and all, by just analyzing who you are, analyzing your weaknesses, and trying your best to work around them or work to resolve them. No more of, I can't do that. From now on, babe, what we're doing is, I can't do that yet, or I'm working on doing that. No more of feeling like I don't deserve this. Now on, we're doing, I worked hard for this. Celebrate your wins. Celebrate your accomplishments. Try on those clothes you always wanted to try on that you were afraid that you might get judged for. Who cares? Do you feel like you look good? Do you like wearing that? What matters in the end is if you're happy and if your life brings you joy. Give yourself the same love that you would give someone else, because you're not invisible. You're in the room with everyone else. And what you say and how you feel matters. And I don't want you to forget that. Raising your self-esteem is hard. It takes time, but we'll do it together, okay? I got you, baby. You take care. I love you. Be good.